Alqamar, and Hanifah is on the screen. I don't know, Hanifah.
And I'm Hanifah.
Okay, and we are your hosts each and every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. when we come to you with impactful topics of discussion that affect our everyday lives. And this week will be no different. We are talking hot topics in and out of the news. Hanifah, how you feeling? I think it's a little delay. Can you hear me, Hanifah?
It's also today,
Okay.
but I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about you? Yes, but I can't see you on the screen. Something is blank here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You can't see me?
Is there something going on?
Oh, okay. You're not gonna be able to see me, is
No, I
what the
can't.
engineers is sharing. As you can see, Hanifa is not with
Okay.
me in the studio today. So,
Okay.
but we're here together, on the screen. So we're gonna dig right into hot topics.
There it is. I can see
You can
now.
see? Oh, okay, cool, cool. Did you want to get us started, Hanifa, on hot topics?
We can, I mean, one of the things that I had down, if we could start off on a light note, um, I wanted to talk about the whole Dave Chappelle,
Okay, I had that on
Sticks
my
and
list too.
Stones, and just the whole controversy around that. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, Sticks and Stone, the stand-up comedy that he did, and the controversy around that.
Hmm.
And so it's got people talking, and it actually, for the most part, at least what I'm seeing is that people understands who Dave Chappelle is and how controversial he has always been.
Hmm.
But you have, have you watched it? I'm sorry. Have you watched it?
Yes, I have. That per your request.
Have you watched it, Alcama?
Yes, I have.
I can't hear you. Okay, okay. Okay. All right. So, yes. And so, like I said, there's a number of people that was trying to make it controversial. Of course, I think it's mainly the jokes that he made about the LGBTQ community more than anything else. I personally think so. The part of it that I found cringeworthy was the part around the pedophilia. Um, but a lot of what I read wasn't even in reference to that. It was
Hmm.
in reference. So I found that very interesting. You know what I mean?
Okay.
To the LGBTQ community, transgendered community, to be more specific. So I found that very, very interesting. The show itself it was brilliant, but it was also Dave Chappelle. When he had his show on, I didn't watch it, but I also have seen his comedy before, and it's usually a little bit on the dark side. It's usually different. So I'm not sure. One of the articles talked about, they used the word divisive, and I'm not sure that that was fair to say that he was being divisive.
Hmm.
But I felt like the focus was more so on the transgender LGBTQ community more than anything else. And the part that I found that I couldn't stomach was the pedophilia one, because
Hmm.
I just can't fathom in my mind how you can actually make humor around
Hmm.
pedophilia.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just, something in me just couldn't hear that, and I couldn't
Right.
laugh about it.
Yeah, that's a good point,
What do
and
you think?
I agree with you. I agree with you on that part. I thought it was brilliantly done in the realm of um, comedic genius, and but that first 5 minutes, and you warned me. You said that first 5 minutes is really
Yes,
cringe worthy, and it was for me as well. I was like, "Ooh, dang, wow, where you going with this?" But it kind of went all uphill for me from there. So it,
yes.
it was one of those scenarios to where I think what he did was
Mhm.
so brilliant that you kind of overlook that little piece of the whole session for me. But I do agree that some things just aren't funny. Something
Yeah, I
it,
understand.
to me. Let me put it that way because I'm sure there was a lot of people watching that program that'll say the same thing about a lot of things that I found funny about it. They would say it's some things just aren't funny. So, but
Right.
yeah, so I guess it's one of those
Right.
things where to each his own. It was a lot of discussion around it, and I've heard a lot of discussion being talked about it, and I can understand, some of both sides to the story. I admire him for not allowing society to box him in. He went straight for the juggler and and dropped the mic and left the stage. Whereas I don't think any other comedian, any other of his peers out there right now would have had the guts to do that, because they are really being boxed in as far as being able to
Right.
speak their
Right.
mind, speak what really how they feel. It's like you can't say this, do this. This gonna offend somebody. So it's like you got to change your whole material, your whole skit and material, and then the next thing
Right.
you know, you in this little small corner because you can't say
Hmm.
nothing because it's gonna offend everybody. So I admire him for saying, "I'm not letting y'all box me in like that."
Right. And I agree with that. I think that was a part of it. I think that a lot of what he did was very deliberate, of course.
Yes,
He's been doing this for years, for many, many years.
yes,
And I think the point that you just made is the point that he was trying to make without verbally saying it. He was trying to make that point just in his stand-up alone,
right,
that I am going to this is comedy. This has always been a space where you should be able to talk about anything
right,
and laugh about it too sometimes. You know what I mean?
right,
And I think that was the message that he
right,
was pretty much trying to send.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
is
you had you're freezing. She's freezing up. But yeah. So David Chappelle, what do you guys think about David Chappelle's latest Sticks and Stones skit? I just think that he spoke for so many of us, and I believe that's why he got that 99% approval rating from the general public on Rotten Apple. I think the people, the professionals in the field have their own rating system, and they rated him very
is
low.
frozen.
And the public and his fans came back and gave him one of the highest ratings ever on Rotten Apple, because I think it speaks to the mood of the country right now. It's like, gosh, what can't we do anymore? So hats off, shout out to
Mhm.
homeboy Dave Chappelle, DC's own. So I saw his
Yeah.
yeah, his one last year. He did live from I think the Warner Theater or someplace. I forget where we were, and I was there in the audience for that. But I actually enjoyed this particular one better than I did the last year one. Me personally speaking.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah, which was interesting too, because they took our phones from us before we got into the auditorium, and then I heard a phone ringing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did. They took everybody's phone and put it in this case or whatever, and we was able to pick the phones back up when we were leaving. But when I was watching his special, the Sticks and Stones one, I saw somebody's phone was ringing in the audience, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if somebody he did the same thing there, or somebody
Right.
snuck their phone in. I don't know. I just found that interesting." So
Yeah.
yeah, so David Chappelle, Sticks and Stones. Oh, you want to move on, honey?
Sure.
Okay, let's talk about
Yes.
the Popeyes chicken sandwich. I'm gonna
Oh
let you
boy.
start because
Do we have to?
I'm gonna let you start because I think you and I have a slight difference of opinion when it comes to this topic. I saw a couple of your posts.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe,
What's your thoughts around
maybe
the
we do.
whole?
I'm not sure if we do. But,
What's your thoughts around the whole
um,
Popeyes chicken phenomenon?
the Popeye's chicken phenomena is no different than the hair industry, that the weaves and wigs and that that most of our money, a lot of money from black people, black women in particular, is going into. I saw it no different. I also saw that we have to remember these are these communities food are food deserts, right? These are people that are eating Popeyes like all the time. Okay? Really. Now, I don't feel any different as far as the hype because that's just one other example of how the media has us by the throat
Mm.
and has our emotions, wrapped around its finger. It's no different. It's almost like we're playing a game of Simon Says. And we're going to wait for the next wave to hit, and it's going to be Simon Says, walk around with your left hand up. And you're going to see everybody walking around with the left hand up, particularly black people. Now, I understand what the controversy was around it. I just feel like with black people, we cannot afford to fall into these type of things over, and especially when you're talking about our economic,
Yeah. Yeah.
we can't afford it. We can't afford it. Honestly, we cannot afford it.
Yeah.
That's really my stance in it. I mean, but there's a level of understanding around it for me because I can guarantee you, the me who don't eat at Popeyes, I wasn't in the line. The people who are in the line are people who frequent Popeyes because that is what they can afford. As far as you could go to Popeye, you could get whatever amount of chickens for this amount of money. These are people who live in food deserts. Like, so I wasn't shocked because I can guarantee you that people who have access to healthy food, even if they eat chicken, I can guarantee you they were not standing in any line. I saw many people's status where be like, who said, I want to go get the chicken, but I refuse to be in that line, so I'll wait. Those people are not standing in those lines. The people who are standing in those lines are the people whose neighborhoods are flooded with these type of franchise restaurants.
I
So that's the level of understanding that I had. Like, okay, I'm not sure. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna push back on you on that
Go
one
ahead,
right there
Alqamar.
because I disagree because I
Sure.
actually talked to some folks who aren't that desperate or in a
Hmm.
food desert that was standing in that line. So I don't
Hmm.
know if I guess I would imagine maybe the vast majority are, but I don't think so. I think this whole thing spanned across socio-economic lines. I really do because I know some folks who told me that they stood in that line for that chicken sandwich, and they aren't in a food desert.
Right.
So
Right, and those are the people that I know even online. I
mhm,
know I've seen people online where they post their statuses, and I've responded to some of them. Those are the people that I know for a fact, right?
mhm,
That they're probably not frequenting Popeyes. They did it also, or it's trending,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Let me jump on board this thing. It's fun to do.
yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
But I don't see it any different than the lines, the ton of lines that you see on Black Friday, the ton of lines that you see when the
yeah,
new Jordans are released. It wasn't any different to me. It
yeah,
just wasn't. It
yeah,
was just more so like, here we go again. The media, it's like a puppet show. It's
yeah,
like one big puppet show. And
yeah,
I'm a person where, I hate being controlled.
yeah,
And so I am always like, and I'm not saying there's probably aspects of my life that I could probably like run through a strainer and be like, okay, you're being controlled in this area.
yeah,
But I hate like mass control. I hate jumping on boards of what's trending. I hate that
yeah,
because to me it's like, do you have any control? Do you have any agency over your emotions, over your body, over yourself?
right,
You know what I mean?
mhm,
And I personally feel like as black people, one of the things that is lacking and why we always find ourselves in the situations is because we lack discipline. We lack
yeah,
discipline.
yeah, yeah. I think, and I think when you have a desperate need to fit in, when you have a desperate need, and
Thank you.
that comes from lack of self-identity. I think
Yeah,
that's the root of
correct.
all that. When you don't have your
Yeah.
own self-identity, then it's easy to go
Hmm.
along with the crowd. It's easy to do what everybody else is doing. It's easy to jump on a bandwagon, follow, herd, the herd mentality, all that stuff. but when you're not rooted in who you are as an individual, I think. Um,
But Alqamar, my question then is this, and this had me thinking too, even around Popeye, the Popeyes situation.
mhm,
Um, if it's a trending thing and it's just people having fun,
mhm.
are we allowed as Black people to have fun
And
without being criticized for it?
and that's where I said I think you and I differed because I saw one of your posting and you kind of shared that publicly and you were like, "Why are you shaming? Stop shaming folks for this thing,
Hmm.
this whole Popeye's chicken
Hmm.
thing." And I'd love to get the community's involvement in this
Sure.
because when my question is, does shaming work? Now, if you say you wouldn't get in that line, and you think that, of course, since you don't eat chicken, neither do I.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But even still, if I was a chicken eater, I wouldn't have been in that line because of some of the
Right.
things
Right.
that you put forth. That,
Right.
our resources, our time, our energy, our efforts
Yeah.
can be
Correct.
placed in so many other areas that will help uplift us all versus doing stuff like this that don't help us at all. Actually, it hurts us in
Right.
more ways than one.
Right.
But you
Hmm.
were saying stop shaming, and I'm curious to know
Does
what
it
does
does it
that work?
work?
Does shaming work?
Do you think it works?
I was doing a little bit. I did a little bit of research around that topic because I wasn't sure myself, and it was just a question that actually your post got me to thinking deeper about. And
Hmm.
so of course, there's arguments on both sides. Some people, well, scientists feel that shame is a part of our nature. It's a part of, they did all these studies about all, different people from different walks of life and different backgrounds, and they put them in situations that could have caused shame, and they realized that, in long story short, that it's not necessarily a societal thing as it is an internal thing, shame and all the whole shame around it, because we don't internally with good conscience, we really don't want to do anything that's going to cause the people we love or the people around us harm. So that's where the kind of whole shaming thing comes in. It's like, oh, well, damn, if I'm doing this and they feel that way about it, maybe I shouldn't do this. You know? If it's going to shame somebody into doing
Okay.
something
Yeah.
constructive in
Yeah.
their life, is that such a bad thing? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But I just think that because I see how there was a lot of shaming going on social media about
Mm.
this whole Popeyes chicken thing.
No, no. I mean, I'm listening on.
And I thought,
Yeah, I'm listening to you as you're talking about. Oh,
I can hear you, Hanifah.
go ahead. I'm sorry,
I
it
was
froze up.
I was going to say,
No, it had frozen. I thought you were saying something.
oh, okay.
Um, go ahead.
Just real quick, and I'll let you finish. I thought the best response that I saw online was two words. One girl shared the line of people waiting in line, and she said, "I'm embarrassed." She said, "I'm so embarrassed." And for me, I thought that was like the best response you can give to something like that, because one, she didn't go after nobody. She shared how she felt about it, and how it made her feel to see us in this
Hmm.
state. So I
Hmm.
just thought for me, that was spot on perfect when
Hmm.
she posted it that way. But go ahead.
No, I was listening to your study that you were just talking about, that you did some research on the shame thing.
Hmm.
And in my mind, I'm just thinking, like, do I want to be shamed into something? Is it going to be, is it going to present, is the outcome going to be permanent, so a permanent solution? Or is it just going to be this one thing I'm not going to do because I don't want to be shamed, but then the
Mm.
entire rest of that person's life or Black existence is in shambles See, the thing about it is that I am more so of doing the work from the inside out, and I think shame starts from the outside in. You know what I mean? So that's the angle I'm coming from. So it's like, does it produce? And I think it works to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? I really do think it works to a certain extent, because I've been in situations where I could say, okay, I felt shamed about that, and I'm like, I'm not never going to do that again. And you know something? I felt shamed about that in the moment, and I stopped doing that thing. But that action, I repeated it probably several times after that in different situations.
Did you do it?
You know what I mean? So that's the.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I don't have all.
You say what?
No, like I said, I don't have all the answers.
No, I
see your point of view.
Yeah, what you said, I mean, it made me think, like, okay, what are we looking for? When we use shame as a tool, what is the outcome that we are hoping for? And I think it's change, but is it temporary change, or is it a permanent change? Is it a long-term change? I think that, like I said, my question is just, is Black people allowed to jump on board? That's the real question. Should Black people be jumping on board on the trending things? Do we have space? Do we have time? Do we have the resources to do that? That's the real question.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Versus shaming each other. Let's have that conversation.
Given the conditions we find ourselves in currently today, do we have the luxury of standing in line at a fast food restaurant for a genetically modified piece of, it's not even food, you know what I'm saying, really, and that's going to add more damage to our internals? Do we really have it where we could, as opposed to, you know, imagine if we took all those resources we gave to Popeyes chicken and gave them to ourselves and stood in line at Black-owned restaurants or what have you. Imagine, you know what I'm saying? And I think, and all that comes with a mind state change. See, until we come to the understanding that we need to help ourselves and not give all our money to other people who are already super rich and wealthy. They're good. Their family for 7 generations are good. And here we are struggling along just to get by at the bottom of the barrel as far as economics is concerned in this society. And we don't have to be that way if we just did things a little different, if we changed our mind state a little bit. And things like this matter. So yeah, things like this definitely matters. How we spend every dime that we spend. You know, the interesting thing is the Jewish community, which is the wealthiest community in America. If we separated them all, they start teaching their children to support other Jewish businesses at 3 years old. Think about that for a second, family. 3 years old, they're teaching their children to support Jewish community, support Jewish business. So by the time the Jewish people get our age, it's ingrained. It ain't even a thought. They don't have to think about it. They just do. And this is the community that is the wealthiest, most powerful community in this society. And again, it's the things that they do differently than we do, and it's just a mind state. It ain't nothing. Work ain't hard. It ain't that they doing something super more brilliant. It's just that they think differently. And so this whole Popeyes chicken,
you know what,
falls into that. Yes, ma'am, Hanifah.
Yeah, I think the embarrassing part of it, if I was to say what is embarrassing about it, I would say when it comes to pooling our resources together for things that matter, right? The crowd around those particular things is very scarce. Like it's you can only get like a handful of people to join together to do those things. And I feel like the embarrassing thing is that we unify over, or we come together or pull resources together or spend money together over stuff that doesn't benefit us in the end. I think that's the embarrassing part. And then I also too, one of the things that I do struggle with is just being a Black woman. I'm not just a Black woman. You understand what I'm saying? I'm a Black woman who is whose health is important to her. So let's say you made a comment and say that could go into black businesses. Let me tell you something. There is no black business here that I would support that's pumping nasty fried chicken, pork, and all of that in our community. And I'm a black woman.
Good point. Good point.
So, so that's a challenge even in itself because we have to understand that people, yes, we are black people, but we are so much more than that. Because there are some of us who we hold certain things in certain esteem, and we're like, no, they're not, I don't care how black they are. They could have been black as the darkest hour. They're not getting my money because I refuse to support a business that's pumping poison into our communities, and they're there too. So that's the challenge as well.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about, well, put your black dollars, you know, now if I support someplace that's healthy, let me find a black-owned healthy restaurant that I could support, but that's me.
Yeah.
So my thing is that if you're going to eat unhealthy, like what you're saying, if you're going to eat unhealthy, then find a black-owned restaurant and support that. But I also want to put it this way. If you choose to say, I like Popeyes chicken better, and as poisonous as it may be, and you choose to say that, then you're just, what can I say? Then you don't really care about your own health. That's it. I'm not going to say you're a bad person. You might just be ignorant, and that means lacking knowledge, and you clearly don't care about your own self. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, well, moving right along, unless somebody wanted to add to the discussion about that. Again, we got the streams open so we can see your questions. If you're here on my page, I can see them clearly, or Instagram, I can see you guys as well. Hey, thanks for joining us. You are watching the Empower Hour with Alqamar and Hanifah, and we are talking hot topics today. Jay-Z, the cancel culture. You want to go in
Woo!
a little?
You and I talk about this outside of the Empower Hour.
I'm dying to do that.
Yeah, go ahead. I said we talk about this outside the Empower Hour, and that is the new thing that's happening. That's another thing I feel like we can't afford. But go ahead. Go ahead.
The cancel culture, which I am so dying to do that show, which is coming up soon, by the way. Jay-Z. So here we are. You know what I see this as, Hanifah? I see this as another tool in the divide and conquer toolbox. You know, I see this as,
oh yeah,
you know, yeah, because it's like so many of us take sides. It's like he doing this, later for cancel him out altogether. But before you cancel him, he's a coon, he's a traitor, he's a dog, he's a, you know what I'm saying, any vile, vicious name you can find for the man that our people are labeling him with, because he does not follow the script of what they think he should do with his life, which I find real fascinating. By the way, that's a whole nother story within itself for me, that we look at these celebrities, and the minute they do something with their lives that we don't like, we get mad and angry and upset. Is this like, you know what I'm saying? They have to follow the script of our own minds and our own emotions, you know, in order to be worthy. In order to be worthy of being a man, or, you know what I'm saying, an artist. So I just find that interesting. So the whole thing around Jay-Z being signing a contract with the this I don't know, I'm not on all the terms or whatever, because I don't follow sports at all. But for me, my whole thing about it is, what have you seen him do thus far for you to label him all these things? And I think we jump to the conclusion so quickly based on our own thoughts and our own emotions, without letting him, you know what I'm saying, what is he doing? How do you know what's going to happen? The ink ain't even dry on a contract yet, and you already concluded and canceled him out altogether. So that's part of what I find disturbing about what we do to each other. So I see Jay-Z now as the battering ram. And so we're using him to tear it, you know what I'm saying? See, look, these celebrities, F them, they can't do nothing for it, da da da. But what about all the other things that he did prior to this moment? All that's canceled out. All the things that he's done in the benefit of his own people prior to him signing that contract, all that's canceled out because of this one transaction. Thoughts, Hanifah? Thoughts, family?
Um, Jay-Z and his wife, um, Beyonce, uh, they've done a lot of if all you gotta do is do the information is out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of
Okay.
celebrities may
Your
do.
screen is freezing real bad.
When we will get past the idea of a savior outside of ourselves.
Mm, come on.
I think that the pressure that we put on others who make it in this American capitalist oppressive system, I think the pressure that we put on other black people is very unfair, personally. Um, and I think the reason why we do that because we have a poor people mentality.
Mm,
Because people
hmm,
who come from communities that may have a little bit more resources or money
mm-hmm.
do not hold the other people that look like them to that high of a standard. Now, my thing with Jay Z is this: Alqamar, if I've been walking all my life, okay, walking on these two legs that the Creator blessed me with, I've been walking all my life, and your expectation of me is that I fly, and I do not fly. The problem is on you. That
Mm,
is your issue. I've been walking all my life.
mm,
You set yourself up for that disappointment.
mm-hmm.
So I say that to say that Jay-Z is a part of what we call that small percentage of people, the wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
We are too caught up in skin color. Now again, he has done a lot for people that look like you and I. He has. And we would just completely ignore that and focus on what the mainstream media puts before us.
That's what I
Again,
that's what I mean by the
it
divide
goes
and
back
conquer.
to that.
Mm-hmm.
This is what, yes, this is what you guys should care about. This part of Jay-Z's,
Contract.
whatever, what is it, missions or whatever you want. Yeah, well, not the contract. I'm saying like this is the part of Jay-Z's deeds that you should focus on, not over here, not the good that he's done over here, because we refuse to run that through our mainstream media. Let me tell you what you should be focusing on, and here we are in an uproar over it because they tell us that this is what should be at the forefront of our mind. Jay-Z has done many things, and when they came for Beyonce, it came up as well. She has also done many things, but it's never going to be enough for people who have a poor man's mentality. It's never enough
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we look for
because we
reasons.
have the mentality of
Go ahead.
it's never going to be enough for people who it's never going to be enough for people who always want you to fish for them and don't want you to teach them how to fish.
Yeah.
That is you're always going to be an issue. Alqamar, you're not giving me enough fish. I'm not even going to say, Alqamar, why don't you teach me how to fish?
Mm,
No, you need to keep supplying me with fish. And if you're two fish short today, I have a problem with you, and you just might get canceled. I'm gonna find somebody else to fish for me.
mm.
That's really where we're at right now, and it's
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, I said as much as well to somebody online. I agree with all of that. I said that what we're trying to do is dissect this billionaire uh, uh, transaction with an employee mindset. That's what we're really doing. We're looking at these
Thank you.
billionaires maneuver, you know, and we don't even know what the heck the contract state. We don't know. Ain't none of us seen that contract to even. That's my point. We don't know. We just go off of the little bit that we hear and we get outraged. But we trying to dissect this whole thing with an employee mind state. when you can count on one hand how many billionaires are out here. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't even think I have a billionaire on my Facebook page, but all these people got their input into what these billionaires are doing around the table. And I find that's interesting. And then the whole thing, when I noticed that now, come a week or so later, somebody then went back into the history and pulled up this other small slither of information about where he was talking about boys without a father are more likely to get into confrontations with police or something like that. And they took that and spent that all around. And so when I watched the whole thing, I'm like, I don't see, you know what I'm saying? When we take a smidget of what he said and use it against him, and it's like, see what I mean? Because we're looking for reasons to hate the man. And so, and then my question goes to who pulled this information up and why? What was the point of doing that now? Now that all this whole heat on Jay-Z is on the table, you're going to add the fuel to the fire by pulling this up and saying, see, look. So we just got to be real careful with the information we feed into and where it's coming from. Because if the goal is to keep us divided and keep us away from the ones that are doing things to help improve our community, if the goal is to keep us away from them kind of people, then then the powers that be are going to do whatever they need to do to spew fuel to the fire.
Propaganda has always been a powerful tool when it comes to pushing a certain agenda.
Yes.
And I always say, if there's anyone on this planet that should be familiar with that, it is Black people.
You would think.
Because they use movies, music, whatever they can to use propaganda. You would think. But you know what, Alqamar? Sensationalism and emotionalism is our issue. It is our issue. We are so easily distracted. Now, my question is very simple. I went in my fridge before Jay-Z, right? This thing happened with Jay-Z. I had some almond milk in there. I had food to feed my family. After the thing with Jay-Z came out, I went back in my fridge and the food was still there. It didn't do anything to my household. It didn't take food out of my mouth. So my thing with that is...
Excellent point.
My thing with that is, why are we so easily distracted? Like, for example, when Trump talked about Baltimore, I could not understand what the uproar was about. Is it coming from the mouth of a white man that we consider a bigot and a piece of whatever, as far as the president of the United States? Because I have heard people from Maryland say that about Baltimore. I have heard people from right here said that about Baltimore, and I have not heard anyone made an uproar about it. There have been many Black people who have stated those exact sentiments about Baltimore.
Right.
But the media says, look at what Trump says about Baltimore, and everybody's in an uproar. And I'm like, I'm sure at some point you've been in a conversation about Baltimore, and in not so many words, the same exact things was said about Baltimore. But here we are, because the media says you should get in an uproar about this. You should think about this. You should feel something about this. Puppets. I go back to Imhotep when he come on the show, and he always talks about whatever you can do in your immediate area, make that your focus. Don't get distracted by all of these other things. It's not divisive, Alqamar. It's very simple. Let's just distract these people.
Yeah.
And us who ain't got nothing better to do.
Distract them from the bigger issue, the things that are most
Do
important.
we spend most of
Yeah.
Exactly. And we're so I'm gonna keep going back to this. It's almost like someone is hitting an on-off button. On. Okay, you should start feeling a way about this. Off. We're not gonna show this because you don't really need to know about this. You know what I mean? So it still goes back to that. I think that we need to take these celebrities off of these pedestals that we have them on, because they shouldn't have been there in the first place. No human being should do that. No, none of them signed up and say, "Here I am, because I have billions of dollars. I now qualify to be your leader. So follow me."
Yeah.
Show me a celebrity that have said that.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's again, it's like again, it's when we don't have a firm foundation into our own goals, missions in life, our own purposes. We latch on. We latch on to other people's, and we ride them, and that's why we get so upset. It's like, wait a minute, you're not going the way I want you to go. So now you with all these names, I hate you. So it's fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Imhotep, I just want to make a quick mention. He will be lecturing at Morgan State University this Saturday. Doors open at 3:30, time 4 p.m. Kibuko,
Yeah.
remembering the horrors of the Ma'afa. It is a free entry. Again, Morgan State University Student Center, first floor theater. Go see Imhotep this Saturday if you're in the Baltimore area, or even if you're not. I'm sure whatever this brother lectures on, it's always powerful and impactful. I want to move on, Hanifah, because we're running out of time. If you don't mind, sis.
Yes.
Okay, what about
Sure.
I want to do this real quick because I have this video I want to talk about with a man who threw the brick in the nail salon window. Are you familiar with that story, Hanifah?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a
Yes, I saw the video.
Okay. So
I saw the video. Yes.
You saw the video? Okay, so it's about a 2-minute skit. So I want to show the viewers what we're talking before we get to talking about it. So let's get that up on the screen.
You're frozen, so I'm not. You can go ahead and start.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, we're gonna show this video skit. So give us a second. It's only 2 minutes. Less than 2 minutes.
That's what I'm talking about. Go in there with him, okay? Somebody go in there with him. Go in there with him. Go in there with him. Go in there with him.
Step away from the window.
Y'all can step away from the window. Y'all can come up out of there. So y'all, I'm getting you one.
Step away from the window.
Let y'all know this is the second time I've been here with this shop disrespecting black women. This is over with. Last time, you're gonna happen. Y'all step away from this window, or y'all stay here, continue to support these people that continue to disrespect y'all. When black men stand up for y'all about these clowns disrespecting us, we don't get the support we need from y'all. Y'all get away from that. Y'all come on.
Come on out. Y'all need to come on out. You've been warned. We're going to shut it down.
Thank you.
All right. No problem.
Move.
All right. Keep that.
Move. I told you to move.
That's not right. Somebody should call the police on you.
You get 911.
I told y'all to come out. Come out. Come out.
Back it up.
Come out.
The brother said he wasn't playing. He's not playing. He said he wasn't playing. He is not playing. That's okay. He knows. He knows. You got another one.
Yeah.
Take it in.
I got mine. I got mine. Stop playing. Y'all play too much. We talk too much.
That's it.
Quit playing. Stop disrespecting black
I know
women.
we're going to go down to that.
You got to put that down.
I ain't saying that.
Don't move. Don't move. Just put it in your
I'm not
pocket.
running. I'm not hiding. I'm not gonna keep doing it.
Yep. Come on up out of there.
Back it up, sister.
Ain't no question.
Welcome, man.
Okay. So this brother named Muhammad, I forget his first name, last name Muhammad. Some are saying he's one of Farrakhan's fruit. I'm not sure about that. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I got a lot of Nation of Islam family that watch the show. Thoughts, Hanifah?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you want to talk about maybe the story behind it?
Yeah, I want to just.
I think there was an issue around some woman being assaulted in the shop. Is what you want to tell the story behind it?
Yeah, okay, yes, there was. From what I can gather, this in Chicago.
I didn't hear you, Alqamar.
I said, from what I can gather, they're in Chicago, and there's a nail salon, an Asian nail salon, where they have a repetition of disrespecting black women the owners or operators of the salon, and they've been to them before about it, but evidently it's persistent. And so this brother took it upon himself to go there with a bag full of bricks and tell the women who were in there to come out because he was going to break the windows. And he proceeded in doing just that. And then when he was done, he put his hands behind his back. Two black women, police officers, pulled up to lock him up. Now, but so my thoughts is, my question is, do you think that was a good idea for him to respond in that way?
I mean, I really can't say.
You look like me.
I really can't say. I really can't say because here's the reality. No, yeah, here's the reality. I always tell people this, right? And I try to teach my son this, right? If you pinch me, Alqamar,
yeah,
right? And I block up your two eyes, okay? Some people might say my response was extreme in compared to your little pinch. But what you don't get to do as the pincher is tell me, the pinchee, how I should respond. You don't get to do that.
Yeah.
You don't get to do. You just don't. So that's why I'm like, I don't know, because those women, one of them could have been his family member. I don't know. I will say this though, from watching the video, that brother was ready to go to jail.
Yep.
Because he kindly put his hand behind his back and walked to the vehicle. He was ready. And one of the things, what I took away from the video, yes, but that's what I'm saying. What I took from the video is that, yes, it was premeditated. But I always say this, a lot of us, we want to talk revolution, we want to do have this, but we're not ready to die. Or we're not ready to suffer. And when I watched that video, I said that brother was ready. He knew that there would be consequences for it. He knew.
Yeah.
But he still did it anyway because he felt like a message needed to be sent.
Yes.
And so that was my takeaway from it, is we need to get in a mind state to where we understand that there is nothing that is going to be given to us in this country. Never has been. Everything that we have today, we fought for. Our ancestors fought for. Every single thing. You talk about that's the issue a lot of people are talking about, even with the reparations movement. You know, they're not just handing you over, not black people, they're not just giving you stuff. And so we also have to be ready to suffer. And I always go back even to like our health and stuff. You better be in a position where if you have to fast for a couple of days, you're able to do so. If you have to eat fruits for a couple of days, you better be in a position where you're ready to do so. Right. If you have to walk for miles, you better be in a position where you're ready to do so. Yeah. There is no revolution with unhealthy bodies. There is no revolution with unhealthy minds. And there is no revolution with people who are afraid to suffer or die.
Good teaching. I agree.
That's what I took away from the video.
Yeah, I agree. And I was I had mixed feelings about the whole scenario, but when I summed it all up, I said, well, I was the same as you. I was like, well, you know, that's how the brother felt at the moment. He felt that it was the best way to get the point across. I felt that, you know, I was telling a friend of mine, I said, but I tell you one thing, you know, we can say what we want, you shouldn't have done that or whatever. I bet you one thing, that those people will think twice before disrespecting another black woman who come in there. You know? So if it doesn't do anything but the purpose it was served for, to stop disrespecting black women, trust and believe they're going to think twice about it before they do it again. And not just them, any other Korean shop who's watching that video. So it serves its purposes, you know, in certain ways. Now, the responsibility we have as black women who are being protected. So, because there was another follow-up video that they went back a couple of days later and the place was full of women again getting their nails done. Us. And so it goes to ask the question in my mind poses like, so what's it all for? You know, if this brother's putting his life on the line, really is, because you know what I'm saying, you never know. If somebody could have had a gun that retaliated against him, you never know. So this brother puts his life on the line to protect us, and we decide that that's, you know what I'm saying, that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna go on back over there, and it's in Chicago, so I'm sure they could have walked down the street somewhere around the corner and found another nail salon. So I think the responsibility of us as women, as black women in particular, when things like this happen, we have a responsibility too to, you know what I'm saying, to what they say, stay on code. You know, stay on code.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was going there too, and you beat me to it, sis, because we usually are thinking around on the same lines. It boils down to the power that the black woman has. We have to see this. It is not our black men that are keeping these businesses open. It is us. It is black women. There is a lot of power that we have, and it's how we use it. And you know something? The fact that place was filled, like not too long after that happened, we should be embarrassed. That's something to be embarrassed about too.
It goes back to the level of self-worth and self-respect, I think, because as a black woman, if I'm hearing that these people are disrespecting me or my sisters, I love myself enough that I don't want to go through that. So I'm going, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to take it upon me not to allow myself to go through that. But if you don't care to be disrespected, then you'll find yourself there again. So it's a level of self-love.
It goes back to, I thought Harriet Tubman came to my mind, where she, on her little trips to free a whole bunch of people, there was a ton of them that was like, I'm going back, you know, because the fear of the unknown consumed them so that they can't imagine a life without master or being dependent on master. The reality is that it's like, well, and don't get me wrong, I get it. It's not enough. Let me say that. There are black nail salons. There's just not enough black nail salons. There aren't enough. Right. And the ones, a lot of us that are around are like miles and miles away. Yeah. Most people go to nail salons that are within proximity of where they live. True. Especially when you're going to these inner cities and stuff. A lot of these women, they live right up the road from these places. And so, but to have a brother put himself out there like that, and his, like you say, his life on the line, we can at least show him some respect, though.
Exactly. But again, it goes back to our level of self-worth, I think. Well, we're running out of time. We got about 5 minutes left for the program. You had anything else, Hanifah, before I went on?
What do you have? Because I might have to say, let me see. Let me pull it up.
Hurricane Dorian.
Yes, Hurricane Dorian, and then also President Mugabe. Yep. But Mugabe. But yeah, Hurricane. Yes, Hurricane Dorian.
We don't need to collaborate these notes, but we be all on the same page. But those are the major issues, though, that's currently trending right now. Too.
Yeah.
Hurricane
Dorian, yes, was a Category 5 hurricane that pretty much hit the Bahamas and pretty much just sat on the Bahamas for about 2 days. I want to say at below 5 miles per hour. And if you understand hurricanes, the faster they move, the less destructive. To have a hurricane just pretty much sitting, nesting, just over you like that, and these are tiny islands. And remember, these are islands. Islands are surrounded by water, in case people didn't know that. Okay? So that's why you see all that flooding and stuff. Yes, definitely did a lot of damage, completely wiped out certain parts of the islands. You know, right now it's the estimate that it went up to 50 in body counts, 50 dead so far, and still counting. Yeah. Because they still haven't reached to certain parts to try to find like different people. Yeah. The United Nations, they estimate that 76,000 people in just Grand Bahama islands have been and Abaco have been left homeless pretty much. 76,000 people. Now, recently they provided a boat to take some of them over to Florida. Did you see what happened with that?
Yeah.
With President Trump?
They had
Okay.
over 100 people had to disperse the boat, had to get back off because they didn't have proper paperwork or what have you. But then they're trying to find out they didn't need proper paperwork. So,
Right.
yeah.
But the reality is like proper paperwork. If I'm running and a hurricane pull my wait, what? You think I'm thinking about my passport and I got two babies depending on me?
Exactly. Exactly. So just again, and what I found, what I found about that is that I was like, wow, a lot of this administration, man, is I'm as I watch them maneuver, they make so many mistakes. I don't think I've ever seen so many mistakes come out of one administration before in all my life, where they have to come back and backtrack the word and say something different and do something other. And, even the whole magic marker thing, Trump talking about something that's going to hit Alabama. And now they got those people all afraid in Alabama, and they had to come back out and say, no, that's not true. And, and now he talking about, that these people over in Bahamas, some of them could be gang members and criminals or whatever, so he don't want them to come in. And then he had another man from the I think the Oceanic Association or whatever come back and reverse that and say, no, that's not the reason why. That was a mistake on the charter boats happening. So I just was like, wow, it just seems so messy. Everything seems such a disarray.
Yeah. Trump uses that.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Trump used that scare tactic for everything around immigration. Everything, drug dealers and gangsters, and I'm like, the biggest gangsters are right here in what we call politics today. Stop it. And Trump knows that.
Yep. Everybody else is the boogeyman besides the boogeyman.
Right.
It's crazy. Yeah, but hearts and condolences and money and resources and all that go out to the people of Hurricane Dorian. I plan to give. I'm attempting to wait to see where my money would be most effective, because right now there's, what I'm saying, a lot of I'm hearing reports from people on the ground there saying it's nothing left to salvage. Your best bet is to just remove yourself from that place altogether. Get out of there, because in a minute, all kind of diseases and infections and all that's going to start arising from that water and all that stuff. So it's become really dangerous the longer you stay there. So I'm wondering if it's even beneficial to start giving all this money towards resources there on the island when they really shouldn't be there, for their own protection anyway. So I'm trying to wait to see where my money is going to be best.
And I think you're doing the right thing by doing that, Alqamar, to be honest with you. Just from the couple of years ago when where I'm from, they experienced that hurricane. Yeah. I've learned that what happens is that we get so anxious to help, that you're not even thinking clearly. It's like you want to wait. Not only that, you want to give to places that your help is going to reach the people that need it the most. You know what I mean? So there's no problem with delaying. For me, it's just give wherever you can and whatever you can. If you're able to volunteer, then volunteer. That might be you giving your time. If you're able to just send money or supplies, then do so.
Yeah.
But do your research. Do your research first.
No doubt, because they definitely gonna need our help. For sure. They definitely need our help. Not going to. They need it bad. Yeah. And it's like, if we can, come on, family, we can stand in long lines for Popeyes chicken sandwiches. We can give, a little bit of support to those who really need it, do or die. Their life is on the line. So again, this goes back to priorities.
Yes.
Robert Mugabe, for the last minute and a half, Robert Mugabe has passed on. We have a picture of him as well for those who may not be familiar with who he is. He was the former president of Zimbabwe before he was before the coup took place, and he was knocked off his crown, and somebody else took his place. Where he passed he joined the ranks of the ancestors the other day, and so I just wanted to give a quick shout out to him and all the work that he did throughout his lifetime. He was a warrior. He was a warrior. He did a lot for the people of Zimbabwe, and his story is interesting in and of itself because a lot of us get so much of what we know our foreign affairs from mainstream media, and that's a dangerous place to just linger, let your mind linger, because it's so, the information and news that's coming out of mainstream is so twisted to fit a certain narrative that don't benefit us. And so you'll hear the mainstreamers call him a dictator, and he killed his own people, and he stole from his own people and all that kind of stuff. Was the man perfect? Of course, nobody is. Did he make some mistakes? Absolutely. But when you follow the history of his life and the story of how he got from where he was to president, you'd have to give him his props. It's cool to him and his first wife, Sally Hayfron, she was a warrior in and of herself. But he spent some time in jail fighting on behalf of freedom. His whole goal at the time that he was uprooted from being a president was taking the land back. He was taking the land back from the Europeans, who he found the same thing that's happening in South Africa right now, where the small percentage of the population are European, but they own the vast amount of the land, and they benefit from the land, and the majority of the people around them are poverty stricken. And so he took a look at that and said, there's something wrong here. No. So he made a law that they could not own the land. They could own their home or whatever, or have businesses there and run. He was willing to share, but as far as taking ownership of large portions of the land in Zimbabwe, he did away with that for Europeans. And hence, here comes, as they do, they slap sanctions on you, first of all. They make it more difficult for you to function economically in the society because you done something to my people. I don't like what you did, so now I'm going to make you suffer, you and your people. And when we look at that and we see the Zimbabwean economy go from a semi-strong to weak, and we look at that as saying he's a poor leader, but we don't go into the underlying issues of how it came to be that way. How the West slapped sanctions on him and made the dollar shrink, made the strength of his economy weak, and and now the people are upset and the uproar there on the ground because they're hungry. They don't care about none of that. They just want to eat. And so anyway, long story short, they made a mess out of Zimbabwe, as they do all over the world, and then point the finger at Mugabe and make him the fall guy for it. But what I understand about it all is that what he was doing was attempting to gain freedom for him and his people.
President Mugabe, to President Mugabe, may he rest in peace. He's with the ancestors. Salute, salute, salute to him.
Mm-hmm.
Salute to him.
Yeah.
Any leader that is in the fight in freeing their people from British colonialism, from imperialism, from white minority rule, because that is exactly what it is, and that is what was happening in South Africa. Mm-hmm. I say salute to them. Now, I also know these again, it goes back to like President Mugabe. These are not perfect people, right, but they're in a fight as far as liberating black bodies from white ownership. Right. Period. I salute that all day, every day. And my condolences to the people of Zimbabwe.
Ashe. All right, family. That has been our Empower Hour. I want to make mention that the Minister of Wellness will be on the program with us next week. If you're not familiar with him, check him out. His work is phenomenal. He's in the health field, and he talks to us about all the benefits of eating healthy and eating right, and what happens when we don't. So the Minister of Wellness will be on with us next week. And if Hanifah doesn't have anything more to share.
Nope. Just thank you guys for tuning in, and definitely share the if you like what you're hearing on the Empower Hour, make sure you share the lives, make sure you share the videos, and also if you've missed it, you can always catch it on Miss Frida People on YouTube.
Yes.
Check us out there as well.
Yeah, definitely check out that last week's relationship forum we did, that 2-hour special. It's been getting a lot of good feedback. People's really enjoying it. And real briefly, this Saturday here at Everlasting Life, there's a singles mixer. So come on out for that. It starts at 7 p.m. It's free this Saturday night. Singles mixer at Everlasting Life. Take care of each other out there. Until next week, family. Peace.